Willie, thanks for your time. Let's start with your team news. Have you got Niall Evalds back for this one, or do you have to wait another week?
Yeah, so hopefully Noel will be back for this week. So there's a couple there that would make a call on at the back end of the week. So Noel being one and James Batchelor being the other.
I was going to ask about James. You said you were hoping for him to have a speedy recovery. How speedy has it been to be able to get him back potentially for this game against London?
Yeah, well, I knew the work that he put into it. I mean, obviously know the levels that the staff go to as well. So I knew that we'd give him the best chance of getting back as early as possible in the right shape. So we'll make a call at the back end of the week on Batch, but he's doing okay at the moment.
Two players coming back from two different injuries. What's the thought process that goes into it when you and your coaching setup decide whether you play those two players or rest them from their respective scenarios?
Yeah, like every player that comes back that's been injured, obviously you need to go through protocols and tick off certain things from the performance team, and then we have discussions around risks involved and that type of thing if they do come back. And then it could be in terms of loads and minutes, so you might have to monitor and pull back on minutes on certain players. So you come to an agreement around that. So there's a lot of in-depth conversations that happen before a player takes the field.
One other player that you were thinking about resting was Elliot Minchella. What decision have you come to about him?
Yeah, not sure yet. We'll wait till the back end of the week. So many will be named in the squad, and we'll make a decision at the back end of the week.
I mean, with James Batchelor coming back, Willie, does that mean you're completely injury-free at this point?
No, it doesn't. So Tyrone May, after the game, he started feeling some headaches and things like that. So our doctor checked him out. So he's not going to play this week due to his head.
And then obviously you've got a few selection issues to think about with Niall Evalds back. What are you thinking in terms of fullback after Jack Broadbent's performance there on Saturday?
Yeah, we'll wait and see till the back end of the week. We'll just see how Noel trains, see if he's ready to go, and then we'll make a call. Obviously, Jack, for me, Jack did all right. He had a couple of errors there that I'm sure people hone in on, but for us, it was there's some unlucky things involved there. I mean, especially that second one, bounce of a ball, the post sort of in the way as well. And the first one, many fullbacks, the best fullbacks drop a ball, so we're certainly not judging him his game on that. So if Jack takes the field, and when he takes the field again, and no matter what position, we know he's going to do a good job for us.
I suppose the other conundrum, as you could put it, is at hooker, given Matt Parcell and Jez Litton's performances. What direction are you thinking of going in there for this game?
Yeah, we'll wait and see later on the week, but what I've said to both hookers is the starting positions up for grabs. We need to just work out. What we do is we look at minutes, we look at loads, we look at certain things. Obviously, Jez had a really good run throughout the year of starting, and then Matty's had to bide his time, and he's been effective when he started as well. So we'll just look at loads, as I say, and then in terms of performance, we know what we're going to get from both hookers. But it's always good to have competition for spots, and the hooker position's no different.
With this pretty clean injury record that you've got at the moment, how much are you relishing it as a head coach in terms of the big selection decisions you've got to make, and also that luxury of being able to rest players, knowing you've got someone who can slot in? It's
good, but I don't want to go there with injuries and all that sort of stuff. It's rugby league. We could be okay this week, and then next week, So it's good. We've always said we want to have a squad. We want to have competition for spots, and that's how we look at it.
Just one other area with competition, that second row in James Batchelor's absence. How well do you think Matty Staunton's done in there?
Yeah, I think he's done a great job. I think he's done a really good job. He was he was strong the week before against FC, and I thought he backed it up. It was a tough game of the weekend. It was listening to both sets of players. It was that first 20 minutes. I know the heat was there, but they said it was extremely physical, and there was a lot of ball in play. So I thought Matty's it affected him a little bit playing 80 minutes the week before, but then I thought in that second half he found his second wind and put in a really strong performance. So really happy the way he's been going. Now for Matty, it's just about being consistent and staying at those levels. He can't drop from those levels because we know we can do it.
One other player you praised after the game was Mikey Lewis. He was seen on the TV cameras shushing the Leeds Rhinos fans after missing his penalty at the end, his conversion rather. How much do you think he enjoys that side of the game of getting under the opposition's skin?
Oh, look, you have characters in the game, and that's what makes the game enjoyable. It's at the end of the day, it's the entertainment business. That's what we're in. We're the players are there to entertain the crowd, and Mikey just goes to certain levels. Look, I think he's matured so much over the past couple of seasons. There's some things that he was doing in his game that we had to get out of, and he's certainly worked hard on that. The crowd sort of get into him, and he was just returning serve. It's just a bit of lighthearted fun. He knows not to overstep the mark and always have that respect. But I mean, on the flip side, he cops a fair bit as well. So as I say, he was just returning serve. But I'm really proud of the growth that he's shown in the past 2 years of his maturity.
How much do you think he enjoys and benefits playing right on that edge, and how much do you think he's aware of where the line is and making sure not to overstep it?
Oh, with those type of players, you need to give them some freedom, because those type of players, Mikey's got a lot of things in his game that you can't teach and coach, and he plays at his best when he's under adversity. He's some of the things I've seen over the last couple of seasons, and I've shared it before, but there was a time there that Mikey was told that he needs to work hard to be in this team, and it was pretty much bring it on mentality. And then his game went to another level. Players either lean into that and want to prove coaches, fans, teammates, whoever it is, opposition teams wrong, and then know where the direction that they're going. And Mikey was a player and a person that certainly knew that. So we've got a really strong relationship. We can have some good, honest conversations. So not everything Mikey does do I agree with, but I certainly agree with a lot of it, because what he does is he's a passionate kid who loves playing for this club, loves living in the city, and he's proud of where he's from. So, for me, he's got a lot going for him. And as I said, he's a type of player that he needs to know where to pull it in sometimes, and I think he's finding the right balance.
How hands-on are you with that, with making sure he knows when to rein it in?
As I said, we've got a really strong relationship, and we have some honest conversations, but, I certainly won't be taking raps for that. It's Mikey. Mikey's the one that makes the decision on how he wants to act and how he wants to approach his game, and I know where he's going.
Just finally on Mikey, you spoke on Saturday about the leadership group that you've got, and Peter Hiku and Jez Litton have recently come into that. How far away is Mikey Lewis from being seen as one of those leaders within the squad?
Oh, look, I think players lead every day. Mikey leads in different ways every day. And there's a small example. People wouldn't have seen it, but I take notice of these little things. We're down by 9 minutes. Down by 9 minutes. We're down with 9 minutes to go when they scored their last try. And you have a look at the person. We were in a huddle after the game, and you have a look at the person who led to go kick off. And it was Mikey. Mikey was getting back as quickly as he could to put the ball down, to focus on that next job, to go chase the win. So for me, that's a leader. So he's leading to say, follow me. And then off the back of that, we had 3 or 4 guys to make that first tackle and win that first play. So people jumped on. And then Jez does his thing at the end of the game, and then we celebrate and we're all together. But for me, little things like that is leading through the actions. Mikey does a lot of that every day. Mikey's not ready to have the tag as being the leadership group. It's because of as I say, like, he's come so far in a year and a half, 2 years. I don't want to put that pressure on him at this stage. Certainly, as I say, he's a leader of this team on the field, and he's working extremely hard to be a leader off the field. But he's 22, so there's no rush there to put a tag on Mikey or put him in a leadership group. As I say, he leads every day. He's leading the group. You have a look at the huddle last year when we got beat by Wigan. Who was in the centre of that? It was Mikey Lewis. That's a leader, So he's got so many leadership qualities. But just to put him in the leadership group at the moment, could he be in there possibly? But I want to put him in to a group like that when he's matures, as I said, like in terms of age and experience, he's only scratching the surface. And 2, 3, 4 years down the track, it's exciting to see where that lad can go.
As someone else who will be a leader next season is Michael McAlorum. I know you fielded one question about him on Saturday, but I think the move has taken everyone by surprise. When and how did it start coming about?
Yeah, it was just one of those that popped up pretty quickly, and then we finalised it pretty quickly. It was so we heard that Mickey was still available. He's obviously got a great relationship with Tyrone May, and heard it was available, and there was some interest on that side, and then we had to see if it could work. And once we knew it could work, then it was a matter of do you want to come type thing, and he showed. He's obviously with Catalans now, so I'm not going to go into too much out of respect to Catalans and Mickey played for them. But yeah, we're fortunate that we've got him for next year.
Given how many deals leak out fairly early on in the media at the moment, satisfying in any way at all to keep that one under wraps?
Say again, sorry, mate.
Given how many sort of deals get out early these days in Super League, was it satisfying for you and the club to be able to keep that one under wraps until you managed to get it announced and out there?
Yeah, rugby league's a small world, isn't it? So yeah, it was as I say, it was one of those deals that happened really quickly. So that's why. And then we announced it. Excuse me, not long after. So it was one that as I say, it came across the desk came across us, and we'd spoken about it, got some feedback from Mickey, and then it was a goer. So then we pretty much announced it.
How do you approach those three hookers then next season? I know you said on Saturday you'd want to see them in pre-season and all those things, but how do you view it at the moment in terms of who will be that first choice?
Oh, again, you got a pre-season to work that out. There's, they all bring different strengths. Obviously, Bill Leyland coming back from an ACL. From the conversations I've had with Bill, he wants to come here and make a difference straight away, and I love that approach. But there's certainly no rush for Bill. We want to get Bill the best learning and development as possible, and he'll get that from Mickey, and he'll get that from Jez. But Bill's coming in with the attitude that he wants to be eligible for that first game. So I love that as a coach. Naturally, Mickey brings he brings aggression, and no one likes playing against him. It's you can see that when he plays and how he approaches his game. And obviously Jez is going to be at the club for a long period of time. So they all bring, for me, doing what Jez did on the weekend, I know he played minimal minutes and it was different reasons for that. But he played a massive part in us getting that win. So, it'll work itself out. But Jez will start at some stage, Mick will start at some stage, and hopefully we get Bill Leyland some time there as well.
Just finally on recruitment, are you done and dusted for both this and next season now?
You can never say never with recruitment. It's always ongoing. So at this stage, there's it's quiet, but as I say, you look at the deals getting done in and around the Super League. There's things happening all the time. So we'll just wait and see.
London Broncos then on Friday night. In terms of this game, how little can you afford to look beyond it, given that massive one away at Warrington in a fortnight's time?
Yeah, we can't look beyond it. It's you look at the results. Obviously on the weekend, Cass and Catalans. Saints a couple of weeks ago, London nearly beating Leeds. You can't afford to look ahead. You can't afford to worry too far ahead, because what's the most important game? It's the next one, which is against London. Obviously we're back at home. We haven't been home for a couple of weeks. We had a narrow defeat. We weren't happy with that first half against Catalans, but really happy with how the players responded in that second half, and how they have been the last couple of weeks. Like that win on the weekend for me was massive. It was a game that we knew Leeds would be up for. I knew Brad would get them up and could have gone all the way, but to win in that last sort of 8 minutes the way we did and score 2 tries to close the game out is a credit to the players and and the staff and everyone involved, because there's a lot of work that's gone into being able to win those sort of games.
In terms of your performances, that first half against Hull FC and then the comebacks against Catalans and subsequently at Leeds, how close do you feel you are to piecing it all together and playing your best rugby?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, you always want a piece and put together 80-minute performances, but you're never going to get the perfect 80. There's always going to be periods in games that you're going to lose momentum, and momentum shifts and swings. But it's being able to get that back, and it's being able to the FC game not have 4 errors in a row. Put yourselves under pressure in that way. Catalan's game where defensively it wasn't us in that first half. So you fix that and you stick to the areas that we value in our KPIs, and then that'll put you in positions to be there in the back end of the game. But we weren't bad on the weekend. Leeds played well, and there was some areas in the game that we needed to be better. But I thought that first half it was we'd lost. We did a graph around field position and what that looks like, and we were under the pump for majority of that game. And a lot of it was from the way Leeds were playing. Yeah, there were some things that we did and can do better, but you're not always going to be dominant in terms of field position. But you just got to hang in there, and we hung in there and we pulled through.
In terms of London, it seems like they've got quite the mountain to climb to get off the bottom of Super League in the remaining 9 rounds. So what are you expecting from them on this occasion?
The same as what they've brought to the table every week. There's a side that have a real dig. There's no doubt about that. They throw a nice shape at you. They're going to ask a lot of questions, with the ball, and they've got nothing to lose. When you've got nothing to lose, you can go to an opposition stadium and do your best, and you can play a little bit, but with a bit of freedom. So there's no doubt that they'll play with freedom. They're not going to have one-out carries. They're not going to try and play through the middle. They're going to try and move the ball. So I've seen enough of London to know that they're not a walkover, that's for sure. And if you want to go in with any complacency or you want to dip the toe, then you're in for a hard night.
Just finally for me, in the 2 previous meetings in the second half, you've let them in defensively. How much are you calling for ruthlessness in this game when you meet them for a third time?
Yeah, I mean, like we said before, you're always looking for a complete performance. But for me, it's like you said, defensively, you can't dip the toe and you can't go in and out. You need to be consistent with that. You're going to come up with errors. You're going to come up with some decisions that you want to take back with the ball. But defensively, you should never change too much, or that should be consistent. And I think for periods, long periods over the last sort of 6-7 weeks, we have been. We haven't leaked too many points at all. As I said, that first half against Catalans is probably the worst that we've defended, and we're letting 14 points. But then the second half, aside from the field goal, we didn't let in the end. So it's just being consistent with that. And it doesn't matter who we play, where we play. It's always defence focused first. So that's what it'll be the same this weekend.
Willie, thanks for your time.
Thank you. Cheers, Ollie.
Hello, Willie.
Hey, mate. How you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good.
First of all, I just thought I'd ask you about James Batchelor, please. So it's not been the easiest injury for him to recover from. He's had to go through surgery and had a few weeks out. So how has his mindset been, and how important will it be to have him back as an option?
Yeah, no, his mindset's fine. His mindset's, he's a player batch and a person that comes in every day and works, he works so hard, whether he's playing or he's not playing. And for me, nothing changed. It was I knew after, the injury happened around, obviously that England selection time, his possibility of being in that squad. So there was some disappointment there, but Batch being Batch, he just gets on with it, and yeah, he's in a good frame of mind now, and hopefully ready to play this weekend.
And with what you're saying about Tyrone May, that's going to give a lot of interest around what happens in the halves. Does that potentially open the door for Danny Richardson?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's Danny Richardson that can play there. We've got Jez Litton that can play there, and Jack Broadbent can play there as well. So there's some good options for us. But Danny's certainly been training well, and he's played well in reserves. And given the opportunity, I know he'll do a job.
With Tyrone, what have you made of his performances recently? How he's been going, sort of leading up to this absence?
Yeah, I think with Tyrone, you probably focus. A lot of people would focus on what he does with the ball, and we haven't been as fluent overall with the ball, and we've been focusing a lot more on our defence. What I've been pleased about with Tyrone is defensively. I mean, you have a look at his defence, and He's doing a lot of cleaning up, and obviously last play when that ball goes to the air, he's the one getting down there to put pressure on the fullback. They're the areas that we value, and Tyrone's valuing. I know with the ball that'll start to get that flow again, towards the back end of the year. But the tight games are won by defence, and if you've got your halfbacks looking at that first, Mikey concentrating and valuing his defence first, the other side's the easy part for them. And going back to Mikey, that's what I was so pleased about with Mikey, because for me, he had the complete game because he invested into his defence and his kick chase and all that sort of stuff. And then the tries that he gets scored and the 40-20s, that comes off the back of defence, and that's the same with Tyrone.
There's been a lot of talk recently about Matty Staunton's minutes and his good performance. So in terms of his future, what sort of impact do you think that'll have?
In what regard?
In terms of his future, like his prospect generally, Matty Staunton.
Yeah, well, being here or going to another club, or
I mean, whatever detail you can give, really. Well, just whether he'll get more minutes, whether he'll be staying, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Oh, he's playing minutes now, so it's going to be difficult. I mean, it's been well known, and that it's difficult for Matty, at the moment to stay because of salary cap and things like that. So, but I'll always pick a team, and I did it last year. Whether players stay or moving on, what we believe is the best team for that weekend. And Matty at the moment has been very good.
Thank you. Just sticking with the forwards, Joe Whitbread obviously got his first try for Rovers. How pleased are you with how he's been going?
Yeah, I think Jai dropped off before the weekend. There's no doubt about that. He from where he was, he did have a dip, but really pleased and proud of Jai the way that he responded last week. He had a game against FC where he had multiple errors, and with errors, you can lose your confidence. Players don't go out in the field and they don't mean to make errors. So it's obviously sometimes it can be like a concentration, technical thing, but then you can overthink it, and that was what I didn't want from Jai. What I wanted from him was effort and competing, and that's what he certainly brought in the weekend. But that's come from training. It's what he does at training. His standards are high, but they probably weren't as to the levels that we know Jai can be at. And that comes with a lot of things, because he's obviously playing long minutes. He's played nearly every game. He's got niggles. So now he's got through that, and he's in a really good spot. Because I know when Jai's on and when he's training hard and he's doing everything right off the field, then we get the rewards for what he's capable of on the field.
And you mentioned London having nothing to lose. So how important is it for your players to not underestimate them and make sure no sort of complacency creeps in or anything like that?
Yeah, look, I think we're at the levels now, and there's a real maturity in this team now that I'd like to think that we're not going to get complacent. I mean, there's as I said before, we are looking at each week, but there's not a great deal of the season to go. So, if you start to either worry about too far ahead, or you're thinking about other games, or you're trying to take, you're taking London lightly, they will come here and make it very tough for you. And as I said, Leeds were lucky to get through the game a couple of weeks ago against them. So there's a real maturity in this team now. So we've always said that we don't look at the result and use that to judge how we've gone. It's just based on performance. It's based on effort and competing and those type of things. So that's how we'll judge ourselves leading into the game of what we've done at training. We had a really good session just before. We've got another one, or captain's run to go. So at the moment, I see a team that's focused, ready to go.
Just lastly from me, Willie, there's lots of excitement surrounding the situation of the table and fixtures coming up. So are you feeling that within your camp at the moment as well?
No, it's too long. I know I just sort of said there's not a great deal to go, but there is. I think it's 9 games. I'm not 100% sure, but if you look too far ahead, the competition's too tight. So it's one of those where we've found ourselves where we are on the ladder, but it's not as if that we've looked every single week to say this is where we are. We have to win that game to get to there. We've got our, we look at certain blocks, but mainly it's around KPIs each week. And if you tick those off, you win. That's what we found. So that's what we're looking at. this week is making sure that we get our process right, which is the week ahead, and then our KPIs right in the game, and then we'll be okay.
That's great. Thank you, Willie.
Cheers. Thank you.
Hey, Willie. How are you doing?
Hey, how you going, mate?
Yeah, good, thank you. Match limits have been introduced this year. It's something else for you to think about as a coach. Do you have to be more mindful now we're getting towards the back end?
Yeah, it's a difficult one because I think it's coming in next year in terms of the loads and what players have done. I think my understanding is they're going to tally from what they've done this year into next year. So, as I said before, I mean, I don't like talking about injuries because it's rugby league. They can happen like that. They can happen in training, they happen in games, and then therefore, if a player's out for 4 weeks, well, there's 4 weeks that you're taking off his loads. So, we've got a few players there at the moment. And that's why Minnie's one way. We've had discussions about. Obviously, Tyrone May's another one, but look what happened. So after the game, he's had headaches, and now he's not playing this weekend. So there's a game that he's not going to play. So it sort of works itself out. But certainly, we want players playing every week, and then we need to manage loads. But it's one of those. Someone like a Noel Levels hadn't played for 2 years, but then he's played a number of games this year, and then you've got to manage his loads and stuff like that. So I don't know, it's a difficult one.
So it's not live now, it's just something you've got to consider for next season?
That's my understanding of it, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was this year, but...
and my understanding is that it was going to be for this year, and then they're looking at it for next year, but I'll have to 100% clarify that. But that's what I've been told a few times.
No, cool. Which I think you've answered this, but would you naturally look to manage players at this time of year anyway? You've got forwards like Elliot Vincella, who you mentioned, Dean Adley, who've played big minutes.
Yeah, I mean, there's been discussions around it, but again, we don't take any team lightly because, as I said, you can get beat. If you don't turn up mentally, you can get beat. And I'm a big believer in momentum as well. So look at last year, Challenge Cup, this year, Challenge Cup, teams rested. We rested players the week before. Well, players that had niggles that we thought that needed time off, and there's a couple that we did rest. And then, win the week after. And then same sort of thing this year. So for me, I just think, feel is a massive thing in rugby league. You need to feel and understand your players, and as staff, we need to know where they're at. So it's case by case. Like if a player genuinely needs a spell, and then you look at their loads and their minutes, and but who knows what's there's things going on outside their life as well that you need to look into and weigh in on in terms of, is that going to affect performance, and is that going to affect things down the track? So there's a whole lot that goes into it. But yeah, certainly, mate, you have those conversations, regularly.
Yeah, no, it's a tricky balance. Just from the outside, it looks like a pivotal period. You've got some big games coming up. But for you as a coach, you're trying not to build it up too early and get them emotionally charged, because obviously you've got the players to look at as well coming up. Yeah.
Honestly, I know it's cliche, but it is. It's week to week. Like we know there's a game next week against Warrington. Of course, you know what's ahead. I especially know what's ahead as coach, and the staff do as well. But we don't talk to the players about that. There might be, as I say, a block that you might put up and go, okay, this is our block for this, and have a look at that and that block. We don't do it every time. We don't do it for, for every 4 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever it may be. It might be times that you do that. But as I say, we know. I genuinely didn't know a few weeks back what was after Warrington. Now I have a look at that as a coach, because you need to always, we do plan ahead, so we'll always plan for the week. But in terms of the actual games, don't think too far ahead. I mean, I've had a look at the draw, so I know now. But I know what's ahead for the rest of the year. But that's not shared with the players. They just need to know what they're doing for that week.